All right, Calculus 2. Today we're going to get into our look at differential equations of the first order with our first section looking at solutions, slope fields, and Euler's methods. So we're going to first start by defining general differential equations involving first derivatives. Right? Then we'll next look at slope fields, which are going to give a geometric picture of the solutions to such equations. Right? Many differential equations cannot be solved by obtaining an explicit formula for the solution. What we can do is find a numerical approximation to these solutions. And one method called Euler's method we're going to look at here, and that's the basis for a lot of other numerical methods as well. So first off, general first-order differential equations and solutions. Right? A first-order differential equation is an equation, right? dy dx equals f of xy. Right, in which f of xy is a function of two variables defined on a region in the xy plane, right? It's of the first order because it only involves that first derivative dy dx, right? Not anything of the higher order, right? In a typical situation, y is an unknown function of x, right? And f of xy is a known function. Some examples of first-order differential equations are, right, y prime equals x plus y prime equals y over x, y prime equals 3xy, right? In all cases here, we should think of y as an unknown function of x, whose derivative is given by f of xy. And the equations y prime equals f of xy and d dxy equals f of xy are equivalent to that first equation, and all three forms are going to be used interchangeably in the text, so get used to seeing them. Right? A solution of equation 1 is a differentiable function y equals y of x, defined on an interval I of x values, which might be infinite, such that d dx times d dxy of x equals f of xy of x on that interval. Right? So when y of x and its derivative, y prime of x, are substituted into equation 1. Right? The resulting equation is true for all x over the interval I. Right? The general solution to a first-order differential equation is a solution that contains all possible solutions. Right? You're always going to involve an arbitrary constant here for a general solution, but having this property doesn't necessarily mean a solution is the general solution. Right? A solution might have an arbitrary constant without being the general solution. Right, and establishing that a solution is a general solution is going to be a bit tougher than what we're going to go into, right? It goes a bit deeper into differential equations, right? We're not going to touch on that here. So example number 1 says, right, show that every member of the family of functions y equals c over x plus 2 is a solution of the first order differential equation dy dx equals 1 over x times 2 minus y, on the interval from 0 to infinity where c is any constant. Right, so if we differentiate y equals c over x plus 2, right, that gives us dy dx equals c times d dx of 1 over x, right, plus 0, which is negative c over x squared. We need to show, right, the differential equation is satisfied when we substitute it into the expressions c over x plus 2 for y and negative c over x squared for dy dx. Right, so we need to verify that for all x in the interval from 0 to infinity, right, negative c over x squared equals, right, our dy dx from before, right, 1 over x times 2 minus c over x plus 2. Right, and this follows, right, if we expand the expression on the right-hand side, right, we have x squared on the bottom. I have 2 minus 2 inside my bracket there. That goes away. So I'm left with negative c over x squared, which is what we were looking for. So for every value of c, the function y equals c over x plus 2 is a solution of the differential equation. And just like with antiderivatives, right, we often need a particular solution rather than the general solution to a first-order differential equation, y prime equals f of xy. Right, the particular solution, satisfying the initial condition, y of x0 equals y0, is the solution y equals y of x, whose value is y0 when x equals x0. So the graph of the particular solution passes through the point x0, y0 in the xy plane. A first-order initial value problem is a differential equation, y prime equals f of xy, whose solution must satisfy an initial condition, y of x0 equals y0. So for number 2, right, I want to show that the function y equals x plus 1 minus 1/3 e to the x is a solution to the first-order initial value problem, dy dx equals y minus x, y0 or y of 0 equals 2/3. Right, so the equation dy dx equals y minus x is a first-order differential equation with f of xy equals y minus x. Right, on the left side of the equation, right, dy dx equals, right, d dx of x plus 1 minus 1/3 e to the x, right, which equals, right, 1 minus 1/3 e to the x. On the right side of the equation, y minus x equals, right, we sub in for y, right, I've got x plus 1 minus 1/3 e to the x, and then minus x. Right, our x's clean up, and I'm left with 1 minus 1/3 e to the x, as I have on the left side. So this function satisfies the initial condition because y of 0 equals x plus 1 minus 1/3 e to the x, right? When x equals 0, we sub in, that gives us 1 minus 1/3, which is 2/3. And the graph of the function is shown on the left here with the point 0, 2/3 as a solution here. So next up, slope fields, right? Looking at solution curves. Each time we specify an initial condition, y of x0 equals y0 for the solution of a differential equation, y prime equals f of xy, the solution curve, right, the graph of the solution, is required to pass through the point x0, y0 and to have a slope f of x0, y0 there. We can look at these slopes graphically by drawing short line segments of slope f of xy at selected points xy in the region of the xy plane that deals with the domain of f. Right? Each segment has the same slope as the solution curve through the point xy, and also then, right, that is a tangent to the curve there. So the resulting picture is called a slope field or direction field, and it gives a visualization of the general shape of the solution curves. Right, below I've got a slope field on the left here, right, and on the right side I've got that same slope field with a particular solution sketched through it, right? So these slope fields just kind of show how each individual solution of one of these things is going to look depending on what the initial condition might be. So for the differential equation y prime equals 2y minus x, we want to draw line segments representing the slope field at the points 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 2, 1. Right, so at 1, 2, right, the slope is 2 times 2 minus 1. We just sub into our y prime, which is 3. So at 1, 2, right, over here, the slope is 3, as drawn here, right? The slope at 2, 2 is 2, right? The slope at 2, 1 is 0. And that's flat there, right? It's a horizontal tangent line. And the slope at 1, 1 is 1, as shown here. So below we've got 3 slope fields, right, in figure 16.4, and we see how the solution curves behave by following the tangent line segments in these fields. Right, slope fields are really useful because they show the overall behavior of the family of solution curves for a given differential equation. Right, the slope field in 16.4b, right down here, right, that one shows that every solution y of x to the differential equation specified in the figure satisfies the limit as x approaches positive or negative infinity of y of x equals 0. Right, and we're going to see, and we see that here, right, we're going to see that knowing the overall behavior of the solution curves is often really critical to understanding and predicting outcomes when we look at real-world systems that are modeled by a differential equation, which is where this stuff shows up a lot. Right, if we're looking at a slope field with pencil and paper, don't do that. All of our examples here were generated by computer software, and if you're messing with slope fields, you'll have software to deal with these. Last thing we're going to talk about in this section is Euler's method. right? If we don't require or can't immediately find an exact solution, given an explicit formula for initial value problem y prime equals f of xy, where y of x0 equals y0, we can often use a computer, right, to generate a table of approximate numerical values of y for values of x in an appropriate interval, right? This table is called a numerical solution of the problem, and the method by which we generate the table is called a numerical method. Right? If we're given a differential equation dy dx equals f of xy and an initial condition y of x0 equals y0, we can approximate the solution y equals y of x by its linearization, L of x equals y of x0 plus y prime of x0 times x minus x0, or L of x equals y of 0 plus f of x0 y0 x times x, or x minus x0. Right? This gives us a good approximation to the solution y of x in a short interval about x0, as we see on the figure here, right? Remember our idea here, right, is if we zoom in on this point, right, this line will approximate the curve if we zoom in tight enough, right? Right? We know the point x0, y0 is on the solution curve. So let's say that we specify a new value for the independent variable to be x1, which equals x0 plus dx, right? And dx equals delta x in the definition of differentials. If the increment dx is small, then y1 equals L of x1, which is y0 plus f of x0 y0 dx, right? Down here, right? If the increment dx is small, right, then that equation is a good approximation to the exact solution value y equals y of x1. So from the point x0, y0, which lies exactly on the solution curve, we have obtained the point x1, y1, which lies very close to the point x1, y of x1 on the solution curve, which we see on figure 6.6 on the left here. Right? If we're using the point x1, y1, and the slope f of x1, y1 of the solution curve through x1, y1, we take a second step there. Right? If x2 equals x1 plus dx, we use the linearization of the solution curve through x1, y1 to calculate y2 is y1 plus f of x1, y1 dx. Right? This gives us the next approximation x2, y2 to values along the solution curve y equals y of x, as we see in figure 6.7 on the left down here, right? If we keep doing this, right, we take a third step from the point x2, y2 with a slope of f of x2, y2 to get our third approximation, y3 equals y2 plus f of x2, y2 dx, and so on and so forth, right? We're building an approximation to one of the solutions by following the direction of the slope field of the differential equation. Right, the steps over here, right, are drawn largely to kind of show the construction process, so it doesn't look like a good approximation. In practice, dx would be small enough to make the red curve kind of hug the blue curve here and give a good approximation throughout. So let's do an example of this, right? We want to find the first three approximations, y1, y2, y3, using Euler's method for the initial value problem, y prime equals 1 plus y, where y0 equals 1, starting at x0 equals 0 with dx equals 0.1. Right? We already have our starting values x0 equals 0 and y0 equals 1. And we know dx is 0.1, which is important. So we determine the values of x at which the Euler approximations will take place, right? x1 equals x0 plus dx, right? That's 0.1, right? Plus is our dx, and x0 is 0. x2 is x0 plus 2 dx, right? So that's 0 plus 0.2. x3 is x0 plus 3 dx, which is 0.3, right? And then we find y1 is y0 plus f of x0 y0 dx, right? F of x0 y0 is 1 plus y0. Right, and we know y0 here is 1, right? So y0 is 1 plus, and then 1 plus 1 times 0.1, that's my dx, so that's 1.2. Then y2 is y1 plus f of x1 y1 dx, right? So that's y1 plus 1 plus y1 dx, and I have the y1 is 1.2, right? So I sub that in, I get 1.42. And for the third step, right, y3 is y2 plus f of x2, y2 dx, right? And then we just sub in, right, our y2 and we get 1.662. The step-by-step process we just did can be continued easily, right? If we use equally spaced values for the independent variable in the table for the numerical solution, and generating n of them, right, set x1 equals x0 plus dx, x2 equals x1 plus dx, and so on, right? Xn equals xn minus 1 plus dx. Then we can use that to calculate the approximations to the solution. y1 equals y0 plus f of x0 y0 dx, right? y2 equals y1 plus f of x1 y1 dx, right? Continue on. yn equals yn minus 1 plus f of xn minus 1 yn minus 1 dx, right? And we keep going. The number of steps n can be as large as we like, right? But if the number of steps is too large, right, the errors will start to accumulate, right? Euler's method is really easy to implement on a computer or a calculator, right? The software program will generate a table of numerical solutions to an initial value problem, allowing us to input x0 and y0, the number of steps n, and the step size dx, and then it'll calculate the approximate y's, right, y1, y2, yn, right, in iterative fashion, just like we described a second ago, right? So if we solve the separable equation in example 4, we'd find that the exact solution to the initial value problem is y equals 2e to the x minus 1, which we're going to use in example 5. So in example 5, right, we want to use Euler's method to solve y prime equals 1 plus y, where y0 equals 1, on the interval from 0 to 1, starting at x0 equals 0 and taking a, right, dx equals 0.1, and for b, dx equals 0.05. So we want to compare the approximations with the values of the exact solution, y equals 2e to the x minus 1. So here we're using a table in a computer to generate the approximate values down here. Right, this is the Euler solutions of y prime equals y prime equals 1 plus y, y0 equals 1. This is with our step size, dx equals 0.1. Right, and here our Euler values are over here on the left, right, in this column, right, our x's are from 0 to 1, right, with step sizes is 0.1, right. These are our exact values in the third column here, right? And then the error is shown over here, the difference between the Euler values, right, and the exact values. Of course, Eulers are estimations, right? They're estimates. By the time we reach x equals 1 after 10 steps, right, the error is about 5.6% of the exact solution, right? A plot of the exact solution with the scatter plot of Euler solution points from table 6.1 is shown over here on the left. Now for B, we said that we shrunk the step size down to 0.05. Right? Table 16.2 on the next page is going to show those results and their comparisons with the exact solutions when we decrease the step size. Right? Doubling the number of steps to 20. So here's the table for this one, right? And we see here, right, here our error at one point, right, when we get from 0 to 1, right, our error here is 0.13, right, when we double the step sizes, right. Here with just 10 steps, right, it was 0.2491, right. So the relative error here is only about 2.9%, right. It might be tempting then to say, oh, why wouldn't we reduce the step size even further to get it closer and closer, right, but each additional calculation, right, not only requires an additional computation for computer time, right, but more importantly, it adds to the buildup of round-off errors due to the approximate representations of numbers inside the computer. Right, the analysis of error and the investigation of methods to reduce it when making numerical calculations are important, but they're appropriate for a more advanced course than this, right? There are numerical methods more accurate than Euler's method, typically presented in a further study of differential equations or in a numerical analysis course. That is the end of our first section talking about differential equations. I'll see y'all in the next one to look at more of this stuff. Let me know if you have any questions.